Morning, guys. So we're going to be learning about a CAD program, which is a computer-aided design program that helps you to 3D model different drawings and things like that. And why are we doing it in woodshop? Well, because part of what we do in woodworking is you have to follow a plan, and plans always come from drawings and things like that. And so what you guys are going to do is just get a really basic introduction into this 3D modeling program called SketchUp. And that's what this video is designed to do, is just to kind of begin getting you used to using this program. So what I'd like you to do today is, first of all, and this video is going to walk you through how to do everything, but first of all, what we're going to do is you're going to have an assignment, and this assignment is going to link you to the website. So the program that we use, the CAD program that we use, actually functions through a website. But before we do that, what I would like you to do is open a new tab and go to your Google Drive. And I've already got a whole slew of folders and things like that. But what I want you guys to do is to create new. So you're going to hit new. And then we want to create a new folder. So click on that. And then if I were you guys, I would title this. You can maybe put your last name in there if you want somewhere. So mine would be Grady SketchUp. And you guys would use your last name and just put SketchUp in there. And then go ahead and hit create. Now I've already got all my stuff saved, so I'm not going to, well, I guess we can do this. I'll create my folder as well. So now I've got this Grady SketchUp folder, and that's kind of what you guys will have, same thing but with your last name. Now it'll become important in a moment. So we got that squared away. Now what I want you to do is to click on this link that is on your Google Classroom assignment. I was already drawing with it earlier. So you won't have drawings that you're already using, right? Yours will probably be blank right here. A little technical difficulty there, but we're back. So when you're at this screen, what we want to do up here is go to create new. Well, let's just check this out. So this right here is where you can choose what style you might want to do. If you want to work in the metric system, if you're doing a big drawing with buildings, you can go to feet or inches or anything like that. So what we're going to want to do is do fractional inches. So I just clicked on that, and then it's going to take me to this window right here. And this will do the same for you guys. And what I want you to do first, though, is to save this. So we're going to go up here and click where it says Untitled. And now it's going to basically ask you to tell it where you want to save your work here. There we go. So you're going to want to click My Drive. Yours should look like this as well. And then we want to select that folder that you just created. So Grady SketchUp. And then we're going to call this SketchUp number 1 dash your last name. So I'm going to put Grady there. And save here. So now what we've done is basically this is now going to auto-save all my work because I told it where I want it to save and titled it and all that kind of thing. So this is very nice to have. If you don't do this and you lose your work, then you're going to it's just going to be gone. Here it does auto-save at least a little bit. They always have a person in their drawings when you first open it, and that's just to give you perspective when you start drawing lines so that you can kind of tell how long they are. So we're going to leave her for now. And what I want to do is kind of start getting you guys familiar with some of the buttons and commands to use SketchUp. So when we go over here, these are all the tools that you have. And there's a lot of different ones. This is an eraser tool. If you hover over them long enough, it will pop up on your screen what it is. And that's a paint bucket tool. And if you have this little arrow here, when you click on those, there's usually another tool option that pops up. So when I first click, it has me on the paint bucket. And then over here, it brings up options. We don't want those right now. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And you can do the same. Same thing here. So if I just have a line tool, or I can do a squiggly line tool, so on and so forth. This is the arc tool. At this rectangle one, I can do rectangles, circles, hexagons, or three-dimensional text fonts. This is our push-pull, and this will you'll get more familiar with this as we go. I just wanted you to see how you can actually access your tools. This is for solid when you get to working with solid things. This is to orient, to move your drawing around and things like that. And we'll get to that in a moment. This is to do some measuring and some dimensioning and things along those lines. You can do walkthroughs. It's got a lot of stuff that it can do. What I want to do first with you guys, though, is let's just start with a line tool. This is probably the most basic feature that you can do in SketchUp. So you can basically click anywhere. What I'm going to do right now is click on this origin point. And what we mean by origin is that it's at the kind of center of all these planes. And we're drawing three-dimensionally in this program. And so what we have here is you could think about this as your x-axis, the red, your green as your y-axis, and the blue would be what we call the z-axis. So that's how we get 3 dimensions, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But for right now, what I want to do is with my mouse, we're going to click one time on the left side. So I just click once, okay. And now as I move my mouse, you can see that I've started a line. And now to finish this line, I'm just going to click somewhere out here. Oops, where'd it go? Okay. And so now you can see that there's this line that I've drawn. And I can still keep going. And I'm going to go out here somewhere. And you can have it be black if you want by moving it anywhere. Or it kind of snaps too. So when it's right now, that's saying that this is parallel with this green axis. So I move it back there, and it's parallel with that. And if it's red, it's going to be parallel with that. Or if it's blue, it's saying it's going up and down parallel with this z-axis. Okay? And so I always, literally pretty much every single time I'm drawing, I want it to be either red, green, or blue. And if it's not one of those, it makes me a little uncomfortable because I want to keep working in straight lines, parallel with my axis. So far, this one is parallel with red. This one's parallel with green. And now I want to go back and make a nice square. So I'm going to go back there, red, and then click where we started. And you can see that this square closes off. And I wasn't clicking and holding my mouse. I literally clicked once to start, a second time here, a third time here, a fourth time here, and a fifth time here to close my rectangle. All right? And so you guys would then have a rectangle just like this. And now I want to show you what I just did. On all of your mice, you have a left click button, a right click button, and then you have a scroll wheel in the middle of your mouse, right? This scroll wheel, by rolling back and forward, just like you would scroll on any website or whatever, you can zoom in and zoom out, which is a really nice feature. So, and wherever you are hovering your mouse right now, so let's say I was hovering on her face, right? And as I zoom, that's where it's going to zoom to. Same thing if I wanted to look at her shoe. I hover over her shoe, I roll up on the scroll wheel, and it zooms in. All right, so that's one nice feature, is this kind of dynamic zooming ability that we have on the scroll wheel. The other thing about our scroll wheel is you can also push it in. So when I push in on the scroll wheel, my line tool is going to change. So I just pushed in, and you can see now on the screen it looks like an orbit kind of around this axis. I'm still holding in on my scroll wheel, and now I'm moving my mouse. And they call this the orbit feature. So if for any reason I need to go to the bottom side of the square, I just keep holding my scroll wheel and move my mouse, and now I can see the bottom of the square. I just let go of that scroll wheel, and now it disappeared and went back to the line tool. And at all times I can still zoom in and zoom out with the scroll wheel. So what I would like you to do right now is maybe pause the video and play around with zooming in to your person, zooming in to your square. Try pushing in on the scroll wheel and getting used to orbiting around, and just get comfortable with that option. Okay, we're back with our video. Hopefully you've done a little bit of orbiting around by pushing on the scroll wheel and zooming in. One last thing to add that is kind of a shortcut to get used to navigating your drawing is when you push in on that scroll wheel, we're at the orbit tool. If I hit shift on my keyboard, right, so that's the shift button right at the end, if I hold down on shift, it's going to change. So now, instead of being that orbit, it actually slides the drawing around. It doesn't change my angle, it just moves it around. So let's say I was zoomed in on this corner and I want to look at the other corner. I can push in on my scroll wheel, but instead of that, I'm now going to hit shift, and it slides it down, and I can keep hitting that scroll wheel, and I'm sliding the drawing down, and there you can see my next corner. And I can zoom right in, zoom right out. So that's a little nice feature too. Those are your 3 navigational features that you can do, is you can zoom in and out with the scroll wheel, push on the scroll wheel and move your mouse, or push on the scroll wheel and hold down shift, and then it kind of moves everything around. So that's kind of how we can get used to navigating our drawing a little bit. So everybody should have a square right now. The next thing I want to show you guys is now to get into the third dimension. So right now this is just 2 dimensions. It's totally flat, like a piece of paper, right? There's no thickness to it. Over here is a tool that we'll use often, right? And it's called push-pull. Another term that people can use is called extruding, but we'll call it push-pull a little bit more often. So click there, clicked it once, and I want to be on this push-pull right up there, the same button. And now we can go all over, okay? And when I hover over that square that I made, you can see that it kind of highlights, without clicking anything, it highlights to those dots, right? So now I'm going to click on that once, now telling that, yeah, I did select that face. And by moving my mouse around, now I'm pushing and pulling this object. I pull it down, pull it up, to anything I want. So I'm just going to give it maybe about the same height as her, okay? So right about there, pretty close. And now we've all got this little cube that we can do, and it's a solid, right? The next thing that we can do is kind of mess around with some of our other tools. So let's go over here to this square thing, and we'll start with just a square for now. Last time we made our first square, you clicked every single line and made a square. This is a little bit of a shortcut. So let's go click up here, kind of off here, not in the middle, maybe like a third of the way back. I clicked once, drag it over, and then I move it up, and you can see now that I'm actually creating a square on this surface. So let's just go somewhere on there. It does not have to be perfect. You can draw the square wherever you'd like. And let's go back to our push-pull tool. And now I have 2 surfaces that I have the option of selecting. I could, of course, select any of these faces, and it moves in and out. One other thing so I clicked this one, and it's moving with me, right? Well, let's say I did that on accident. I don't really want to move that face. So how do I get out of this surface that I selected? In the very upper left of all of your keyboards, there is an ESC key, and that means escape. So what we're saying by clicking that is that, yeah, I clicked this face to move it, but I didn't really mean to do that. How can I escape out of this without actually doing anything? So instead of doing that, I'm just going to hit escape now, and you'll see it goes right back to where it was, and I'm no longer selected on that. So that's what the escape tool does. Anytime we select something, it kind of unselects it for us or gets us out of whatever we kind of got started. But what I want to do now is select this interface, and let's go ahead and pull that up a little bit, almost like we're making a tower. So something like that's probably good. And so that's kind of what our square tool can do if we use that and we push-pulled it. But now when we go in there, we can also go down and select the circle tool. And let's go ahead and click somewhere in the center of this face, and now you can see that I'm pulling out and making a circle as I do things, okay? And it's still that same option. I can go with the green axis, the blue axis. I can't go with the red axis in this point because I'm already locked onto this face. It doesn't give me that option. Let's go with green. Let's just pull it out somewhere like that. And then we'll go over here to the push-pull thing. And I'm going to start talking about some shortcuts. So to select this push-pull tool, I can either go over here and click on it, or on my keyboard, you can literally, where's it at? There it is, push the P key. And so all I'm going to do now is hit the P key for push-pull, and it switches me over to that push-pull tool without actually having to go over here and click it. So now I'm going to click on this, and instead of taking it out this time, I'm going to push it back through, okay? And so let's go, I don't know, well, let's show you this. Because this is a CAD program, they've gotten smarter with these programs, so they can kind of try to read our mind. So if for some reason I was pushing this through, and I knew I wanted, like I'm making a hole by pushing it back, right? I wanted that hole to go all the way through this object, right? I don't want to go too far. And so I can hover my mouse. I haven't clicked anything. I can hover, and it kind of locks into this line. That's called inferring and inference. So it is assuming by me hovering right there, this is where I might want to push-pull it to. So if I hover over this line and click there, it ends my push-pull. So let's go back and push in on our scroll wheel and orbit around. And you can see that by ending it at this surface back here, it actually made a hole. So I clicked there, and then I hovered over this line and clicked again to tell it that's exactly where I want to push-pull it to. you can see that we kind of get a little shape going here. Where are we at here in this video? We're 15 minutes into our video, so that's probably good for today. This is what I would like you guys to turn in, is exactly what you see right here, okay? And now I want to walk you through how to turn this in. So with your orbit, which is pushing in on the scroll wheel again, I'd like you to get an angle where I can see that the hole's going through. I can see the lady still in there, so I can notice and kind of get the size of your rectangle, right? So this is a good view of what I'd like you to turn in. And what we're going to do then is we're going to go up to this, I call it just a stack, or I've heard some people call it pancakes, but these 3 bars here in the upper left, you're going to click there. Well, before I do that, everybody just click the save button. So now it's updated my drawing so I don't lose anything. Now let's go back and click this stack. And we get a whole bunch of options, right? We can open a new drawing. We can change how we save this. We can import other drawings into this. All sorts of different stuff, right there. We can export this as a different type of file. What I want you guys to do is just hover over download. And what we're going to download is not the SKP. What that stands for is a SketchUp file. And so that obviously works with all of our SketchUp programs. This ping file, PNG, is just an image, all right? So what we're going to do is hover over download, then get over to ping and click on that. And you're going to get this kind of crazy screen like this. We can change what size our image is. Right now it's at 937 by 1920. Let's change that to 1000 by 1000. And you can see it change the size of my image. In this screen I'm just rolling in and out on my scroll wheel, or I can click on the left and it lets me orbit. So I can change my angle even in here. So I want to get it nice and big so it's filling my frame. Again, I can see the hole going through. I can see the lady for the size. All of that good stuff is now kind of good to go. And you can do the same thing every time you do one of these. And so what we want to do now is export this ping. All right, it's asking me where I want to put this. For you guys, you might not get this. It will probably just automatically export to your downloads. Since mine popped up like this, I'm going to select downloads. If yours does that, you can do that too. Otherwise, yours probably automatically goes there. And then we're going to save it. Okay? We're going to go back to Classroom. And yours will look different than this. You'll have the option to attach things over here. And so what you're going to want to do is to click on Attach to submit. And then you're going to want to choose to browse from your desktop. Right? And then once you click on Browse, you'll want to click, the new window will pop up of what you want to open. Go over to Downloads, select that image that you just exported, right, that ping image, attach that to this assignment, and turn it in. And I can help you with that if you have any problems. And so what you guys will turn in will literally look like this. It'll be in your Downloads. Oops. This image is what you'll attach for your Google Classroom assignment. All right? And that will be it for today. We'll continue with more of the SketchUp stuff tomorrow.